Hello everybody, welcome back to another video, and today we are doing the week 14, I think it is, NFL predictions. Word of the day is mac and cheese. I know that's like 3 words, but that's too bad. That was just what the answer was when I asked my friend the question. So, mac and cheese is somehow the word of the day, but we'll take it. Last week did not have the greatest week. I went 7-8, and my dad went 8-7. But it's okay. We're now tied up at 106 to 76, and obviously, the other person would be 106 and 76 as well. So we're both 106 and 76. So yeah, let's get into it. This video might not be the greatest today because I am sick, but you know what? That's just too bad. I'm not too sick, but we're chilling. Anyways, alright, first game. We got the Vikings versus the Lions. This is kind of an interesting matchup because the Lions have been hot in the last couple of weeks. They've been winning a lot of games, had a close game against Buffalo. Vikings, I believe, are coming off of a bye week. Who did the Vikings play?
The Vikings.
Frick. What was the score to the Vikings game?
The Vikings snuck past.
Okay, so no, they actually did have a close game against the Jets last week. Wasn't their greatest game, but they're going up against a re-energized Jets team, and they finished the game pretty strong, I would say. So both of these teams are looking really good. Obviously, the Lions looking to try and make a playoff push in the tough NFC. The conference has been a lot better this year than it was last year. So, they're fighting for that playoff spot. Obviously, they're not going to pass the Vikings in their division, but they're looking for that wild card spot. However, the Vikings are just a much better team, and obviously, they're not looking to lose any divisional games right now. And I see them going to Detroit and winning this game, and so does my dad. So, yeah. Next up, we got the Ravens versus the Steelers. And this one is a kind of interesting game, because the Steelers, they've been hot the last 2 or 3 weeks. I know they beat the Colts and then they beat Atlanta last week. Played pretty well. I'm really mad that they did beat the Falcons last week, but they have been playing good pretty recently. Kenny Pickett has looked good. Just the whole team has looked good in general. That defense, absolutely amazing. And now they're going up against the Ravens, who scored a total of 10 points last week. I'm not sure what the score was to their game the week before that. What was the score to the Ravens game last week?
The Ravens lost a close.
After they lost to the Jaguars 28-27. So this is a very interesting game because just the Steelers are so hot right now and the Ravens have not looked good in the past 2 weeks. I mean, when you beat Russell Wilson and the Broncos by 1 point, only put up 10 points, it's not the greatest thing in the world. Obviously, lost a close game, just couldn't finish in the fourth quarter against the Jaguars. They just haven't looked good recently, and now they're going up against the Steelers. The only problem is, Kenny Pickett, still a young quarterback, he's got momentum right now, but at the same time, they're going up against one of the best defenses in the NFL, now that they got Roquan Smith. I mean, they're just looking good. Lamar Jackson, obviously. Ooh, is he playing? Let's see. Is Lamar Jackson playing? Let's go to ESPN. Gosh dang it. It won't load, Kyle. By the way, we're not going to talk about Baker Mayfield this week. Went off. Alright. Freaking. Alright, who am I searching up? Tell me. Screaming at the TV. Lamar Jackson. No. Yeah, Ravens. There we go. Boom. Alright, let's see. It says D. What does that mean? What the frick does that mean, cuh? There's literally no D on here, but we're just going to say not playing. Okay, so we're going to say that Tyler Huntley's playing in this game. It's going to be interesting because Kenny Pickett, he's going to have a hard time against that defense. Obviously, Roquan Smith is good at stopping the run, so it's really going to fall on Kenny Pickett's shoulders here, and I just don't know if he's quite ready for that. with Marlon Humphrey at cornerback. It's gonna be a tough matchup. But the Ravens are still in it with Tyler Huntley, and they just haven't been looking at the greatest in the past couple of games. Who did I see Tyler? You know what? I don't even know, but I think I'm gonna take the Ravens here. It's really a toss-up. I'm not sure. It could go either way, and that's why my dad took the Steelers at home. It's going to be an interesting game, but I'm taking the Ravens. My dad's taking the Steelers. So, yeah. Next up, we got the Browns versus the Bengals. And the Browns, I'm not going to lie, had a decent week last week against the Texans. Obviously, Texans aren't the greatest team in the world, only one win. But, Deshaun Watson still played good football, I guess. Almost threw a lateral fumble because he pump faked a little too hard. And that was almost a touchdown for the Texans, but we're not going to talk about that. Did throw an interception. Wasn't the prettiest game from Deshaun Watson. I didn't watch much of it, I'm not going to lie. But still, we got to remember, the Bengals are looking like one of the best teams in the league right now. They're getting hot at the right time. They've won their last couple of games. They've looked pretty good. Other than from the start of the season where they looked terrible in like their first 3 games, they have looked good and back on track. Joe Burrow has looked good, and Deshaun Watson, I don't think he is ready to go up against a team like the Bengals. I know the Browns already had a close matchup, and I'm pretty sure they beat the Bengals, but that's with Jacoby Brissett, who already had some experience, had been playing some games. And, it was kind of fluky, I'm not going to lie. I just don't see Deshaun Watson beating this Bengals team. It could be a close game. They could win it because maybe Deshaun Watson just goes out there and balls out. I mean, the Bengals won't have much film on Deshaun Watson other than games from 2 years ago. So it'll be interesting. But I still have to take the Bengals at home, and so does my dad. So, yeah. Next up, we got the Jets versus the Bills. And this is a very interesting game because the Bills have not... Who did the Bills play last week? What was the score to the Bills game?
The Bills beat the Patriots.
So Bills just came off of a win against the Patriots like 8 days ago. They played Thursday? I guess they played Thursday. Yeah, they did play Thursday. So they just came off of a win against a divisional opponent. Now they're going up against the Jets. But I'm not going to lie, the weeks before the Patriots game, they had not looked good. They had not been playing perfect or amazing. And, they beat the Patriots, who haven't been the greatest team this season. And now they're going up against the Jets, who are re-energized. I know they lost last week against the Vikings, but you got to remember, the Vikings are one of the best teams in the NFL right now. They're 10-2. They have, the best freaking late game team I've ever seen. They close out games really well, and they're going up against a young quarterback. I don't think that game that they lost hurt their momentum whatsoever. I think it probably just makes them even more excited because that was literally a 4th down play away from them winning that game. It was a really close game down to the end. And you got a quarterback that hasn't played in freaking forever since last year, week 7 or whatever. I don't know when he played, but it's been a while, and they looked good. I think the Jets can come into this game and win. They know that they need to win if they want to make the playoffs. They got to beat the Bills. They got to beat out the Patriots. They got to beat out the Dolphins. They want to make the playoffs, obviously. And I think they believe in what, their coach is doing and what Mike White is doing. And I think they're ready to go. So I got to take the Jets here. I just think they have the momentum going into this game. And the Bills haven't looked the greatest. I'm taking the Jets here against the Bills. However, my dad is going to take the Bills at home. So, yeah. Next up, we got a little quick one. We got the Texans versus the Cowboys. Obviously, Cowboys had a great game against Jeff Saturday and the Colts last week. Looked really well. Won by 30 points or something. It was pretty good win. But now they're going up against a team that has 1 win, 1 tie, and 10 other losses. And that's just, that's not something that's going to be too hard of a challenge. Don't get me wrong, the Texans are a competitive team in some games, but when you're going up against the Cowboys, who are who are in Super Bowl form right now, probably one of the hottest teams in football, I just don't see the Texans going to Arlington or wherever the Cowboys are. I know their name is freaking Dallas, but I'm pretty sure their stadium's in Arlington. I don't know why, but I'm pretty sure it's in Arlington. Anyways, they're gonna be. I don't see them beating the Cowboys. So yeah, I'm taking the Cowboys. My dad's taking the Cowboys. And next up, we got the Eagles versus the Giants, and this is an interesting game. The Giants have not looked great in the last couple of games. Just came off of a tie against the divisional opponent, which we've had a lot of. Seems to be a lot more divisional games towards the end of the season here. But just came off of a tie against the Commanders. They looked decent, but it was a good game. Obviously, it had a 63-yard field goal that they missed out on to win the game, which interesting. Defense looked good, stopped Taylor Heineke in some huge situations, but the offense obviously couldn't come through in the clutch moments. And now they're going up against the Eagles, who have one loss and are the best team in football. With, in my opinion, the MVP and Jalen Hurts. So I think, just with the way the Giants have looked in the past couple of games, they're not excited that they just tied with the Commanders. They wanted to come out of there with the win, hopefully secure their spot in the playoffs with the win right there. Obviously, it wouldn't clinch it, but, it get them to clinching it. So, just how they've looked in the past couple of weeks, they lost a couple games going into that game. I got to give this one to the Eagles and my MVP, Jalen Hurts. And so does my dad. So, yeah. Alright, I'm back. Sorry if you guys hear me sniffling. Like I said, I'm mildly sick. So, sorry. I know it's kind of annoying. But anyways, we're back. So, Jaguars versus Titans. This is a kind of interesting game. The Jaguars have been looking good in the last couple of games. Forgot who they played last week. What was the score to the Jaguars game?
The Jaguars were crushed by the
Oh,
Lions.
frick. Okay, well, yeah, I forgot that they just got freaking smoked by the freaking Lions last week. But, yeah, the Jaguars have been looking good in the past couple of games up until the Lions game. Had a great game against the Ravens, obviously. Finished very well for a relatively young team. Played a great game in that game. I'm pretty sure before that, they had another good game, or did they lose to the Raiders? I think they lost to the Raiders. I don't know, but they've still looked good. They've had some close games, other than the Lions game. But now they're going up against the Titans, and the Titans are still obviously fighting for that playoff spot, which they're probably going to get, as their division is kind of terrible. Obviously, it's a divisional game, Jaguars versus Titans, but the Titans, they're just better. I kind of forgot what I was going to say, I'm not going to lie. But Titans probably going to make the playoffs. They're the first seed. I don't think they're going to lose it. The Colts with 4 wins and a tie, and then you got the Jaguars who are 4-8. It's just their division's not looking very good. Right now they're playing for a bye, which they may or may not get. I doubt it. But they're still looking for seeding, and now they're going up against a divisional opponent in the Jaguars. And I really don't see them losing to the Jaguars, especially how they got blown out last week. Even though they have had a couple good games, a couple, upsets, I think I got to give this one to the Titans. I just think I got to. I don't know. But we're giving this one to the Titans at home, and so is my dad. So, yeah. Next up, we got a pretty simple one. It's the Chiefs versus the Broncos. And I'm not going to lie to you. It actually might not be as simple as you think, because let's look at this. Okay, the Broncos have had a lot of close games. Not because they're a good... I'm not saying they're a good, fun team to watch. Absolutely horrific. But they do have close games. 1-point game against... You know what? Let's go to ESPN, and we'll look at all the close games that they've had. I'm on ESPN right now. Let's just go over to the Broncos. They have a lot of close games, and I'll get to my point in a second. Let's see this. 1-point game, 7-point game, 1-point game. Um, overtime game, 7-point game, 4-point game, 7-point game, overtime game, 13-point game, 1-point game. Their games are close. I mean, I just listed every game in their season except for the Raiders game where they lost 32-23. That is their biggest margin of loss or win. 11 points. And now they're going up against the Chiefs, who their last 3 or 4 games, I think they have 3 losses. Chiefs NFL record. They have 3 losses. All of those losses have been in close games where Patrick Mahomes chokes and throws an interception or doesn't score or fumbles or something like that. He just doesn't win. The defense, obviously, last game against the Bengals, couldn't stop the Bengals in, the last 5 minutes. They ended up losing. The Chiefs have not been good in very close games, other than against the Chargers, which they've beaten twice in overtime, but that's not what we're talking about here. So this could be a really close game, and the Broncos could end up winning it with maybe potentially a Patrick Surtain game-winning interception. I really like to see that, although I just don't think it will happen. The Broncos defense has been very good this year at limiting offenses to very small sums of points. I mean, I think the highest they've allowed is 32 against the Raiders, and all the rest of them were under 25 points. Under 23 if you want to get specific. I mean, this defense has looked good, and the Chiefs have not looked good under pressure. This could potentially be one of the biggest upsets of the season and could really point out who the clear MVP is in Jalen Hurts. However, I just don't see it happening. It could happen. It very well could happen, and I could be looking back on this prediction and saying, I knew it, I should have picked the Broncos, but I just can't do it. The Chiefs are a great team, and I can't pick against them going up against the Broncos. I've got to give this win to the Chiefs, but you guys are hearing me right now. It could very well end with a Patrick Surtain interception. I'm just saying. So yeah, I'm taking the Chiefs, and so is my dad. But that's just my take on the game. So anyways, next up we got the Panthers versus the Seahawks. And yeah, so Panthers versus Seahawks. Okay, so the Panthers, kind of garbage. I'm not sure who they're starting. They're either starting P.J. Walker or Sam Darnold. Neither of those options do I like. They're both kind of bad. I'm not sure what they're rebuilding right now. They're not looking to win the division. I mean, they're not really looking to do anything. They're just looking to get a good draft pick right now. They're not the greatest team in the world, and they're going up against the Seahawks, who are looking to try and take back the division. They got Brock Purdy as a starting quarterback for the 49ers. It's going to be interesting. They're hoping that Brock Purdy, maybe he gets a little bit of pressure and, he sells the next couple of 4 games. The next 4 games, The Seahawks are looking to take that division, and they're not looking to start their comeback by losing to the Panthers. I mean, that's just not how you do it. You've got to get this win here against the Panthers. I mean, it's a free W. I mean, it's at Seattle. You got to give it to the Seahawks here. I don't see them losing. This is a big game for them. So yeah, I got to give it to the Seahawks here at home, and so does my dad. I mean, I don't really have much to say other than that. So yeah. Next up, we got the Buccaneers versus the 49ers. So last week, I'm not going to lie to you, the Buccaneers probably had one of their best games in the season, scoring 2 touchdowns late in the 4th against the Saints. Still wasn't a great game, but they held the Saints to 16 points, and they led a game-winning drive and a late touchdown before that. So, I mean, pretty good game, I'm not going to lie, from the Buccaneers. Probably the best game I've seen from them all year. They just haven't looked good this year, but they're coming off of a big divisional win, which will probably end up sending them into playoffs, as the Falcons are now starting Desmond Ridder and don't seem to be looking to make a playoff push. So, yeah. So they've basically taken the division, and now they're going up against the 49ers with Brock Purdy. This will be an interesting game. The 49ers are looking to hold on to their division, so are the Buccaneers. I mean, this is a big game for both teams, and, they're both... It's a big game. Hold on a second. I gotta add more clip. Okay, I'm back. Not gonna lie, it's been like 20 minutes my time because I just kind of stopped doing stuff. But we're back. Okay, so as I was saying, this is a big game for both teams. But last week against the Dolphins, I watched the 49ers and Brock Purdy specifically. I know the game was won pretty much based off the defense. But after, Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt, Brock Purdy made some plays. He made some good throws on third down. He did not look bad. And you don't have to win games as a quarterback when you're playing on the San Francisco 49ers. You just don't lose them. If you're not throwing an interception that, loses you the game, messes up your field position, sets the other team up, you're going to win because of your defense. The 49ers defense, absolutely amazing. Okay, you get close to field goal range, Robbie Gould's automatic. He's going to make the kick. They just need a quarterback that won't lose them games. And the way that Brock Purdy looked last week, he doesn't look like he's going to be losing many games. Mr. Irrelevant is one of the most relevant players in football right now. And I just don't know what to say. He played really good football last week. He did throw a pick, but that's okay. And, he was drafted in the 7th round. It's all right. What are you going to do about it? Okay, he has potential here. And, you don't have to score very many points against this Bucs offense that isn't the greatest. Especially when you have a defense like the 49ers, not very many points are going to be scored by the Buccaneers in that game. So you don't have to do a lot. You just have to win the game as Brock Purdy. And I think he has the potential to do that. So I'm going to give this game to the 49ers at home. And so is my dad. And, yeah. So, next up, we got the Dolphins versus the Chargers. And, for me, it's kind of an interesting game. The Chargers, it's really not an interesting game. I mean, the Dolphins did not look great last week, but they're going up against one of the best defenses in the NFL. And, they had to go up against a quarterback that they've never watched before or seen. They had 4 years at Iowa State, but, they weren't expecting to play him. So they had no film on the quarterback that they ended up playing eventually. After Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt. And so, it was a tough loss. They couldn't really block against the 49ers defense, but they have an outstanding defense. I mean, it really is amazing. And, they put up 17 points. They put up a fight, but they just couldn't make it in the end. But they're still one of the best teams in the AFC, and they're going up against the Chargers, who have been, in my opinion, kind of mid this year. They haven't looked great. And so I just got to give this one to the Dolphins. Even though it is at Los Angeles, I got to give this one to the Dolphins. And so does my dad. And I didn't add enough clips in my 20 minutes of looking for clips, so I got to go add some more clips. I'll be right back. Okay, we are back. We got the last two games, the Monday night game coming up. We got the Patriots versus the Cardinals. And you guys know how I feel about both of these teams. The Patriots are looking to make a playoff push into the AFC. Obviously, haven't had the greatest turns of luck in the last couple of games. Win against the Vikings, lost that one. Win against the Bills, lost that one. They haven't been looking good in their last couple of games while they're trying to make a playoff push. But they still have an opportunity. And so, yeah. They're going up against the Cardinals, who are, in my opinion, one of the worst teams in the NFL. And they're not looking good. The Cardinals obviously really have no shot at making the playoffs. I mean, the Rams have a better chance of making the playoffs now that they have Baker Mayfield, in my opinion. So, I mean, the Cardinals are kind of funneling to 4th in the division. And I see them playing it out for a draft pick. I do not see them winning this game against the Patriots. And Bill Belichick is not going to let Kyler Murray run all over him. I just don't see it happening. I got the Patriots winning this game against the Cardinals. And, yeah. So does my dad. And, yeah, next up we got the 49ers versus the Seahawks. And this is a very interesting game, a very big game for both these teams. Obviously, they're competing for the division, and, Brock Purdy, he's getting put up to the test. The Seahawks looking to make, the most of Brock Purdy's mistakes in the last couple of games here so they can capitalize and, would make the playoffs by being first in the division. And so, it realistically could happen. So yeah, the Seahawks are definitely looking to win this game at, their field. But just with the way that Brock Purdy looked in that game, he looked he looked pretty good, with a couple of weeks practicing with the first team, getting the chemistry down. I think he'll be a pretty good quarterback for this team. And obviously with the defense, I don't know if Geno Smith will be able to pick it apart. It's interesting. Seahawks are a really good team, but so are the 49ers. The Seahawks haven't had the best of luck in the last couple of weeks. What was the score to the Seahawks game? Oh, well, they played the Rams, but the games before that, they didn't look great. I'm not sure what the scores were, but I know they haven't really stood out to me in the past couple of weeks. They beat the Rams, without a quarterback by 4 points. I mean, are you really going to brag about that? And now they're going up against a really good defense, a really good team, and I think Brock Purdy has the potential to keep this team in first in the division. And we'll see what happens. But I really do believe in Brock Purdy, and I think this team does have the opportunity to win these 2 games this week. And so, yeah, I'm giving this one to the 49ers. However, my dad is giving this one to the Seahawks at home. And, yeah. So, anyways, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys next time.
We both suck. We both suck. We're both garbage.